Hello, hello. Welcome to Game Tech and Cut Right Short Order Podcast. Just the Tip Tuesday. Welcome back, or welcome for your first time listening. I'm Mike Edchows. We got Ryan Smith on the other side of the computer, and today Ryan has no clue what we're talking about. I actually texted him last night and said, hey,
That's normal. I don't know what's going on all the time.
that's such a lie. God, you better go to confession. No, I texted him. I called him last night and said, hey, I'm not telling you shit. Sorry. It's going to be, there's going to be two or three bad words in this one, but I said, I'm not telling you anything about the conversation we need to have, but it'll be good to go for this coming Tuesday and natural, thorough response. So it's going to be a little bit of story time that leads into a short discussion and to hopefully entertain you on your drive to work and get you thinking about some things. So how you doing, brother?
I'm excited. I'm excited for the story because, with Mike, you never know what the story's going to be.
Well, I, for those of you that live in the Spokane and Northern Idaho area, this story is not about visiting State Line and the Kontiki dancing lounge that is at State Line. It is not about that. It's about the outdoors. But, yeah,
but there's a lot of interesting people up there.
Oh, God.
In that area.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if it's about a person. I wonder if.
And listener, he has no clue. He has no clue. Like
if Mike tripped over himself into the river when he was fly fishing, almost drowned. That's actually really believable, though.
Yeah, so. That one is actually pretty close. My leg. So I put the gun up for the day, and I went and fly fished a river that I usually go to once or twice a year. There's no road access to it, not even a Forest Service road or logging road access to it. It's a bit of a haul in down. You can take one way, which is a tumultuous path up some trails and stuff, or you could take the other way and hike some railroad tracks, which is less tumultuous but a bit more mileage to get to the couple good runs. And I'm about 3 weeks late in fishing this river that I usually fish once or twice a year, because there's a certain flow that the cutthroat they're cutthroat, argue with me and say they're more intelligent than what I give them credit for, but I don't think they're the most intelligent fish or hardest fish to catch. But they get stacked up in there at certain flows, and it's a little bit low, but I was like, let's go. So I called my buddy, Jake from North Idaho Archery, and I was like, hey, I'll be down at your place and we'll roll out from there, etc. And so I take the dog to the vet, and we get down to the river or to the area where we have to park and hike in. And it's not a significant hike in, but it's enough that it keeps really, I've been fishing it for at peak time for 11 years and I've never seen anybody there. Right. So it keeps them away, because it's not like the St. Joe where there's a road next to it, or the Coeur d'Alene. So I can tell you it's not St. Joe, Coeur d'Alene, North Fork, Coeur d'Alene, or the North Fork or the Clearwater or whatever.
Right.
Because those all have roads. This doesn't have a road. So we're driving to this place, and
is this part of your story?
My story is starting. Buckle up.
Okay, story is starting right
buckle
now.
Up. I want to say buckle in, because it's about to get good is what's going to freaking happen right now.
Okay. Mike had to walk 400 yards. That's the story.
I swear to God. Shut up. No. So we're driving, right? We're driving to the river, and we see a black thing on the hillside. And I looked at Jake and I said, is that a bear? And he's like, I thought it was a pig. And I was like, it looks like a bear. And then it turned out to be a border collie. But that got me thinking, okay, so there's freaking okay. So I looked at Jake and I was like, did you bring a gun? Geez. And he's like, no, did you bring a gun? I'm like, no. And then I looked and I was like, how could we be caught, two rednecks from Idaho that kill lots of stuff, going backcountry fishing without a gun? This we're Nimrods. And he's like, and he looks at me and said, didn't we do this before? I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure we did it last year on a bear hunt. when we were driving in the Forest Service roads to our bear area, and there just so happened to be a huge boar standing in the middle of the road, and both of our guns were in the back seat instead of one being in the front seat like it should be. And that boar stood in that road for like 30 seconds. We managed to open doors, get guns out and everything, and finally it looked at us and like, I literally let you guys shoot me and you couldn't do it, so I'm going down the canyon now. So we didn't do that. So we reminisced on that, and we get to the spot and we're hiking in to go fishing. And I'm like, hey, it's a haul to get to the 2 runs where the fish really stack up. Right. And he's like, Jake's up for anything. He's like, okay, but this area sounds good and looks good right there. Let's bushwhack down through the forest and the trees in the canyon and go fish that. I can hear the water. There's a riffle and a run there. And I was like, I've never gone there. Okay, let's do that. So we go in and we do some bets on who catches the first fish. Well, Jake gets 3, 12 to 14 inch cutthroat on his first 3 casts. And now Jake is 17 years my junior, right? And so Jake has 3 fish and is continuing to fish. And my dumb ASS is sitting there with a size 16 yellow stimulator trying to figure out why the 5X tippet won't go through the eyelet on this little yellow stimulator, and take my glasses off, getting in the shade, getting in the sun, doing everything possible. Like, man, my eyes, I'm like, I'm going to end up being that guy that has fishing glasses. Like he finally looked back at me after like 10 minutes and he's like, hey, old man, are you going to come catch some of these or what? And we exchanged some FUs back and forth and some laughs. And finally I got my line to go through, caught a couple fish, and I saw a couple fish rising on the other side. And I mean, the river's not very wide. And I saw a couple fish rising on the other side. So I rip out some line at the 3-weight and go to back cast, and catches the tree behind me. Oh, yeah. And it's son of a, like, it just took me 12 minutes to like thread that effing fly. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. This isn't even the good run. Let's go. And so we walk back up to the trail that we're walking in on. And I was like, oh, hold on. And I managed to quickly get a fly tied on, and we start walking down, and we get about legit 70 yards from the run we were just fishing. And there's some rustling. So the river's on our left. We're heading, we're heading downriver. The river's on our left because we want to get low and fish high. And there's some rustling in the trees and like neck high grass on a human and bushes and stuff about 20 or so yards in front of us on the left. And now it's, fawn and calving season and everything else right now. And so we don't think anything of it. And before we left the area where we parked to hike down, we re-acknowledged we didn't have any guns. And he's like, have you ever seen like anything on this trail? I'm like, well, I've seen bear. I'm not worried about those. The big moose I got chased by like 6 years ago, and then I slipped in the river and broke my kneecap. That sucked, but I don't anticipate anything. Like we're 3 weeks later than we should be, etc. And so we hear this rustling, and we're just walking like in Stephen King's movie Stand By Me, just down train tracks, down a trail, kicking rocks, shooting the breeze, and hear this rustling. And we kind of stop, and I put my arm out in front of him thinking that it's a deer that's going to come out with its fawn or, a mad doe or whatever, and be like, okay, like now we got an angry doe. Let's get this on video. And so this thing comes out, and both of us initial response were like, that's like a really big freaking doe. And it makes its way from the edge up, and we were walking down railroad tracks and starts walking on the railroad tracks. And I quote, that's the biggest fucking cat I've ever seen in my life, from Jake. And this cat, we're 22 yards, 22
That's a
yards.
hop. That's a hop for a cat.
Let's not, don't. I'm already getting goosebumps.
For a cat.
22 yards. This cat doesn't run. It and remember, we were just fishing like 75 yards up from this cat that was probably at the river. And so it comes and it steps onto the railroad tracks, and I noticed two things. Its paws. Like, don't ask me how I noticed its paws, but its paws were the biggest, like, predator paws I've ever seen in my life. Like, its paws. The second, it wasn't even hopping. It was just walking. You know how it does their stealthy walks with their back flat? It did its stealthy walk, and it didn't turn its head. So we're to the right of this cat. And it didn't turn its head to, like, look at us. It kind of gave us the little bit of a side eye, if that makes sense. Like, it turned its head just enough to look at us out of the corner of its eye. And I remembered, like, at that moment, I remembered the line from Quinn and Sharks, like Quinn in Jaws, about sharks having, like, dead eyes, just pure black eyes. And I will tell you that a mountain lion's eyes at that distance, when you are doing your best to not get eaten, just look pure black. And its head was huge. Its paws were the biggest things I've ever seen. And it's just slowly slinking across the tracks. Its body is entirely across the railroad tracks. Entirely. So all four legs across the tracks. Okay. Its tail is, the tip of its tail is still on the other side of the railroad tracks. So, like, I don't know, like, body on one side of the tracks, then you have railroad tracks, and then the tip of its tail's, like, still way the hell over there.
Oh, big old tail.
Dude. And it was a Tom mountain lion like that is in my opinion, after seeing it, the absolute most athletic thing in the mountains.
Oh, I agree.
It is the most 100%. Athletic. It was a killing machine. And it looked at us with a little side eye, turned its head straight, and just was like, meh, and slowly walked up the steep embankment and canyon up into the forest. And so Jake and I are standing there, and so just to show everyone, I mean, in my head, it took 10 minutes for this to happen. But as Jake said, and very slowly and emphatically, that's a cat. That's the biggest bleeping cat I've ever seen. So that's like 8 seconds. Right. That's how long it took that cat to walk across the railroad tracks. So it wasn't in any hurry whatsoever. No. It was just moseying. No. And I looked at him and I said, I know I already asked, but do you have your gun? And he's like, I don't know if I want to tell anyone that neither of us have our gun right now. And I said,
don't say that too loud.
And I was like, okay, so neither of us have our guns right now. And he's like, nope. And I said,
hey, well, go with how well you cast. I mean, you probably could catch his ear or something,
brother. Trust me, I had ways. I mean, you know how cats like little feathers on the end of strings and they'll chase them. I was like, I'll just cast near him. I'll cast a big dry fly, and he could chase that.
You still had the moss on the last cast.
I'm pretty sure that we had a laser pointer. We would have just like distracted him with a laser pointer or whatever. So, you know, I looked at Jake and I was like, "We're supposed to act big, right?" And he's like, "Pretty sure." And I was like, "What else are we supposed to do?" And he's like, the only thing I know is we don't break eye contact because they don't like to be looked at in the eyes. Like, so we don't turn around. I'm like, well, this is awkward. Like we're literally 220 pound, 6 foot something guys standing here while this cat, like, we heard it walk off and I'm like, but we couldn't hear it walk off that far. I'm like, that cat's probably sitting 20 feet above us ready to jump down. But that cat, through no decision that Jake and I made whatsoever, it made the decision that it wasn't going to kill us. No, I'm serious. Think about this. Like, this was the biggest cat. I mean, and Jake and I talked since then, and this was just yesterday. We're filming this on Wednesday, so this was, Tuesday. This is releasing a week later. We talked since, and he's like, that Tom was huge. biggest cat I've ever seen. He's like, it was also so fat, it's probably been gorging itself on elk calves or deer fawns or whatever for the past week or 2 or 3. And I was like, right, but think about this. There was nothing, not a single thing that 2 Nimrods holding fly rods on railroad tracks in wading shoes, wet wading, did to keep that cat from attacking us. It gave us the side eye and was like, nah, not in the mood. It could have looked at side eye and been like, huh, I like to eat bald stuff, and like turned around and jumped and went after me. I did nothing to save my own life there. That cat made the decision to not kill me. Now, there's going to be people listening to this and be like, oh no, the cat was more scared of you than it was of him. I would challenge you that you were not there. There was no fear in that cat. That cat didn't run. Like, at the point when it came out, I wasn't even scared. I was just like, holy shit, that thing, like, and then I was marveling at like the athleticism on that cat.
And cats are beautiful. That
absolutely
tail's
beautiful.
And
big tails, like killing machine. The only thing that animal does is kill. That is what that animal is designed to do, is kill. And it gave us...
It makes you wonder how dogs can tree it. I mean, I think it could kill 15 dogs 100%. Quick if it wanted to.
Yeah, 100%. And so those that are saying like, oh, you don't know, Mike, it was more scared of you. If that cat was scared of me, it would have bounded across that railroad track and up that trail. It walked. And it wasn't even like a walk with purpose. It was like, well, that rock looks sharp. I'm going to put my paw here instead. And it hurt us. And then it kind of gave that side glance, like when you're hanging out with somebody and they annoy you, it kind of gave that side glance to us like, you two dipshits. And then it didn't strike me until that last night after this happened that like, wow, I had zero self-preservation in that whole instance. I stood there with my proverbial junk in my hand, waiting to get eaten, not doing a damn thing. And then I said to Jake, I'm like, well, I don't know what would be better. Getting trampled by the cow moose I saw here multiple years ago, and I got in between her and her calf, and when I say she chased me, she chased me. She chased me. I tripped in the river. I literally broke my kneecap. I got back to the car. It was not good. And he looked at me and goes, dude, getting attacked by that Tom would have been way better. And I was like, you want to explain? As we're walking down the railroad tracks to keep fishing. And
I've been chased by a moose before, and
he's like,
I'd much rather.
Here's the deal. You're going to feel every stomp and kick and everything of that moose until it eventually stomps on your head and you're out. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, that mountain lion's going straight for your neck and you're dead. You're not going to feel anything. And I looked at him, I was like, in what fucking world is that supposed to make me feel better right now? And as this cat's walking up the hills, the steep slope to us, right, to our right, and the river's on our left, remember?
Right.
I look at Jake, I'm like, and it's going slow enough. I'm like, what if it decides to turn right now and come after us? And he looked at me and he's like, go straight to the river. They're a cat. They don't want to get wet. And I looked at him and I said, that river's 30 yards away. We will die. And he's like, you do what you want. I'm going straight to the river. And I'm like, so that's my say.
That reminds me of the movie with Ryan Reynolds and The Rock Johnson on Netflix. I don't even remember what it's called, but they're sitting there and there's a bull looking at him and he goes, don't move. I heard this. You don't move. Hold your ground. And he goes, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's like, are you sure? Are you sure not moving? He goes, stay still. They've got terrible eyesight. And he goes, that's Jurassic Park. He goes, oh yeah, I think that's Jurassic Park.
I mean, so what happened the rest of the day? That cat, we lost sight of it. I'm sure it didn't lose sight of us. And we walked down the next 35, 40 minutes and fished and caught a bunch of fish and walked back. And when we got to that area where we knew we were 300 yards from that cat encounter, we went down to the river and walked 3/4 of a mile up the river. But the reality is we're fishing 75 yards above that cat that was probably sitting at the edge of the river. And more than likely, it was a straightaway. That cat was watching us fish and getting a drink or just being there. And it just made the decision as we were walking. It could have stayed quiet and stayed down. It just walked across and scared us. So this kind of leads to that discussion of what the hell do you do? Like, what do you do? And that could be like the 5 to 8 minute discussion of what do you do? How do you prepare yourself for that? Because we all like to hike. We're all doing rucks. We're all prepping for elk season that's coming up and doing backcountry stuff. And what do you do? Like that, I've seen mountain lions, never at 22. So to the listener, after on the way back, we did step it off and it was 22 yards. 20. Hey guys, just want to take a second and interrupt the Just the Tip Tuesday podcast to introduce and talk about one of our fantastic new partners, Grizzly. Grizzly's been making coolers for years. They are top-notch hunting, boating, recreation coolers. In addition to coolers, they make drinkware, camp cups, water bottles anywhere from 1 gallon down to 30 ounces. They're insulated. They keep it cold. We personally use Grizzly coolers, the 75, the 100, the 165. If you're into cold tubbing, they even have a big 400 and 450. And one of the coolest things with Grizzly coolers, they have a meat shelf. I've been talking about this for years. There needs to be some sort of platform that keeps the ice down in the bottom of the cooler and the meat up on top of that ice. That way you can travel a long way and know that your meat is safe. If you go to the Grizzly website right now and use the code GOTGAME, that's GOTGAME, all capitalized, it'll get you 15% off of your order. Anything on their website, hunting equipment, ground blinds, troughs, coolers, meat shelves, drinkware, you name it. Use the code GOTGAME and support one of our awesome partners.
Well, and that's a hard question. I've had, with how much we're in the mountains outside, we do have encounters with mountain lions, with bears, and, I'm not really afraid of a black bear,
Yeah.
Maybe a grizzly, I'd be real afraid of a grizzly.
Yeah, same.
But we have, it seems like every couple years I have an encounter with some sort of mountain lion, whether I glass them up, they're a couple 100 yards away. And this year we went after one with my muzzleloader. I was deer hunting with my muzzleloader. We saw the mountain lion walking up a ravine and we went and set up, and I wish I had my rifle. I would have shot it, right when I glassed it up. But I tried making a play. And so every once in a while, these things happen, these opportunities happen. And but there was one year my father-in-law and we were glassing rams up, big rams, and we were deer hunting. It was middle of December in the snow, and we see these rams, and so we're just, watching them, looking at them, just trying to see, what's the biggest one, and, judge them. And behind me, I hear a stick, and I turn around, and 20 yards away, pretty similar, there's a mountain lion straight at us, just like this. And I turned around, my father-in-law turned around, and I was like, oh, geez, there's a mountain lion. And he goes, oh yeah. And neither one of us had a tag. And that was I've bought a mountain lion tag every 100%. Year since that.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was archery range. We were archery hunting. I knocked an arrow and I was just like, what are you going to do? And my father-in-law's like, if he wants to be here, it's one jump. Like, that's how quick it is. Yeah. And so we watched it, kind of looked right at it. And right when we made eye contact with it, he turned and just slowly went away. Just kind of similar to that, seemed like forever. And he kept eye contact with us the entire time as he slowly just walked away. And so from your story and, from the few experiences I've had, cats like to kill without the animal that they're killing knows they're there.
Yeah. Which is why Jake said, do not break eye contact. Keep your face and eyes looking at
And
that animal.
and in that moment, no gun, this, you keep eye contact on him. You let him know you're not afraid of him. You know, elk run away, they jump on their back, you know, go straight for the neck, or they sneak up so close that nothing even knows they're there and they jump on it. I don't think they like having something fight back.
No, no, I don't think so either.
Sit there. And so in that moment, I think you guys did exactly the right thing. And I'm no lion expert by any means. Some hound guy's probably like, you're a freaking idiot.
Oh, 100%. I'm sure there's a hound guy or somebody that like guides for these that is like, you guys are dippies. Like this, like, listen, I'm not a catologist, and I know that.
Mike does love his kitty cats. I mean, he definitely is a cat guy.
I do not like cats.
He is a cat guy. You can just tell by his face. But
so I was telling my buddy about this that lives in Canada, and he says, you know, because I was like, you know, I don't know the seasons. Like, I don't even know if cat season's opened or whatnot. I should have had a gun on me. He's like, you always take your gun doing this. I'm like, yep. I don't know what it was. Like, when I fish the St. Joe or the Clearwater or anything else, like the road's right there. I usually don't take a gun, my handgun, but like this is like we were backcountry fishing. Like no, like there's nobody going down here. It's not populated. And it was stupid not to have my gun with me. You know,
and pistols are so easy to carry nowadays. I mean,
and so that's why one thing I would have that I will do different, like, and I'm gonna look around. I want to get a like chest carry holster for my pistol. I have a ivory holsters for hunting season that goes on my pack strap, but I want one that sits on my chest, especially for fly fishing because I'm going waist deep and stuff like that. So I need to research that and jump into those. But I will have that on any backcountry fishing adventure, even if it's just 30 minutes off the road. I will have that. And this again, cool stuff happens when you're not prepared. And this was the first time seriously.
Yeah, this was when you're elk hunting, you see the monster deer. When you're deer hunting, you see the big elk.
Yeah, and when you're going fly fishing without a gun in your hand, you see the biggest tom probably in the state of Idaho right now. Like it was that big, and
that's awesome. Cool experience.
Yeah, and my buddy asked me, he said, you know, is there an animal like that is too majestic that you wouldn't kill? Like that you wouldn't hunt?
No.
And I said, no, there's not really an animal that I wouldn't hunt that if I was legally allowed to hunt it. And I heard mountain lion tastes great. I said, but you know, this animal, and I hope listener, you get to experience a cat in the wild, like safely. It is pure athleticism. Like the Stanley Cup was decided last night. The Panthers won. Like hockey is pure athleticism to me and stuff like that. Like you could have the ideal thing, but like a mountain lion is a killing machine. Like I was talking to someone like, you know, some lions even, you know, over in Africa, sometimes are carrion eaters, like things will die and they'll eat it and stuff like that. Mountain lions kill. They are made to kill. Like that's what they do. They kill.
Oh, and they're freaking awesome. I mean,
they are so cool. Like
they're so smooth,
pure muscle, pure, like literally just an absolutely amazing animal. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you, to how I was unprepared. So always be prepared. Be prepared.
Right. Be prepared. In the moment, I think you guys did exactly right. But the real answer is when you're hiking, doing these things, you know, the bear spray people can, you know, they can take their bear spray. I like a pistol.
Yes.
That's absolutely what I carry. And ivory holsters is what I use too. And they are great. They say they're made for, you know, kind of the EXO pack.
Yes, they
but I've ran them on EXO, Eberly stock, Kafaru.
I run mine on Initial
Ascent. And I've even just hooked it to my belt on my pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I just want one fishing as a chest. I want it
that's
there.
Out of the way.
Yep, out of the way. So when I'm casting and when I'm wading waist deep, I don't have to worry about submerging.
You don't have to worry about it. But it hooks to a belt really nice. I mean, it's not concealed, but just having it on your side, it works pretty good if you guys want to look into the ivory holsters. But
yeah, they're good stuff. So,
but
anyway,
that's crazy. I'm glad you're here today.
Yeah, me too, man. Like I said,
a scar across that face would be an improvement.
Dude,
it would be an improvement.
I would wear that scar with pride. Is like that's what I mean. Honestly, it didn't hit me till last night, like how I had zero to do with that animal not attacking me. Like I stood there, both of us stood there frozen. We had zero to do. That animal simply did not want to attack us at that time. It wasn't hungry enough to attack us at that time. It had the upper hand. It had the surprise. We were standing there. It has the athleticism, the strength, everything, the claws, the teeth. It chose to not attack us and kill us. Like that's really what happened. We did nothing to prevent it.
And ultimately, I mean, that's a lot of these animals. Every time I work cattle, I'm just sit here and I just think, I mean, I've seen cattle go through fences as we've been running feed, to a different group of cows, and a cow run through it trying to get to the feed truck and different things. I mean, they're just monsters. And if they knew any better, I mean, they could run us over 24/7. I mean, it wouldn't be hard. And that's the thing is it's nice that we're on the top of the food chain intelligently. We're intelligent.
But not physically.
No. Yeah, no. But I mean, if you're going to choose one, I guess we chose right.
Yeah, it could be a worse spot. So anyway, I appreciate you guys listening. Always be expecting the unexpected. And then seriously, think about things like you're here because something decided not to attack you in the woods. That's why I'm here today. And that's pretty freaking scary and awesome and majestic and everything all at once. Is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So
well, we appreciate it. Good story.
Until next week, man.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks for listening, guys.
Whether you're deep in the backcountry, field dressing your game, learning to butcher to perfection, or cooking up the meal that honors the hunt, Cut Right is your ultimate guide. Cut Right puts expert knowledge at your fingertips. Master field dressing right on the mountain, learn step-by-step butchering techniques, and discover incredible ways to prepare your harvest. It's not just about the hunt. It's about the whole journey. Download the Cut Right mobile app where apps are downloaded today and elevate your wild game experience.